Hello, I want to talk about Longcase clocks. So I'm in England, and in England there was a time when most houses, most farms had a Longcase clock, or more than one Longcase clock. You could call them grandfather clocks or grandmother clocks for a small one. And if you include all the clocks, wall clocks, bracket clocks, lantern style clocks, carriage clocks, there's a range of clocks, but the one I want to talk about today are these Georgian and Victorian Longcase clocks, which are very, very cheap now in England. And you can buy a Georgian oak enamel faced ordinary Longcase clock for £50, £100. You can buy spares and bits and pieces sometimes as well. And in some sales, they all clump together, these Longcase clocks, and the estimates will be 30 to 60, 100 to 150. If it's a good clock, that's a rather wide expression. If it's a good clock, then they still fetch good money, 800, 1200. So you can buy a clock from the 1700s with a brass dial, with a maker's name and a maker's town, in a mahogany case with a shaped pediment with an eagle perhaps, columns, original glass, beautiful door with crossbanding, ogee feet or bracket feet, for £1,000, £1,200. If it's a very, very special one, a lacquer one or a known maker, then of course you're into a different league. But with these ordinary farmhouse clocks, Longcase clocks, they're very cheap. It's the same for Georgian bureaus in England, it's the same for chest of drawers, dining tables, card tables. You have to make a distinction when it comes to Longcase clocks between 30-hour clocks and 8-day clock. So a 30-hour clock is a single wind per day. The winding is done by basically moving the weights. And an 8-day clock is a weekly wind, and they will often have two holes. You will sometimes find dealers will make 2 holes in a 30-day clock to make it look like a better clock. So if you're an amateur, you will have to take hits with these clocks if you're unlucky. Many of the cases of these clocks are not necessarily belonging to the movements or the faces. Many of the movements have had historical repairs and are not original. Many of the pendulums are broken at the top because there's a little filament of steel which routinely gets broken. Many of the adjusters are broken, weights are taken because they're worth more as lead than as an antique. And the strings are sort of like a sort of catgut style string. They perish, and overall the machines, the clocks are temperamental. If you want to buy a £50 Longcase clock and restore it, you'll perhaps have to spend a couple of £100 on the case, polishing, repairing veneers, repairing feet. But when it comes to the mechanism and the enamelling on the front, then you're into many hundreds of pounds. So they're not economically worth repairing. And even if you have one that works, that you've had restored, if you move it, put it in a car and take it to a different place, if you set it up again, it's not that it will be broken, but it will need often skilled retuning to get it to be working properly and keep good time. So they're a pest, and they require regular winding. And because we all have the time on our phones, it's on the television, it's on the oven, it's in our cars, it's on our computers. People don't have the need for these things to keep the time. And the generation of collectors who wanted one in their home has died. Let's be honest, they've died out, or become so decrepit they no longer are buying anymore. And the generation of people who want to hear a clock ticking in the corner, a smelly old clock, that has largely gone away. So these things are cheap, and I think if you're willing to live with one that not necessarily is running, then you have the opportunity to buy some really cheap statuesque furnishings items. If you're buying a silver coin for £50 or a silver spoon for £50, they have zero decorative value. If you buy a clock which is large and tall, it's a useful decorative thing. And if you're furnishing a house or a residence, and you go down the code of a rug, a pair of vases, a pair of lamps, a mirror, an overmantel, some paintings, a barometer, some candlesticks, a clock will go in very well, and in fact is essential, really. So these clocks are good value, and transporting them it's not so simple. The auction houses don't want to get involved with moving them because the doors have glass in and the swing open. The filaments on the pendulum always get broken. People steal parts, and bits shake off and get lost. So the auctioneers hate them because they're difficult to sell. They cause problems. Everyone going in who doesn't know about clocks will ask the auctioneer, does it work? They ask the auctioneer, sick of saying no, it doesn't work. Everyone who doesn't know about clocks will ask the auctioneer, how much will it cost to be repaired? The auctioneer doesn't want to just keep telling everybody it's impossible unless you spend a fortune. So they're relegated to secondary sales or specialist sales, and there is in England lots and lots of these things for sale. But I think they're worth buying. I think I've covered it. I think I've discussed it long enough. Thank you very much for having a look.